Thanks for stopping by. I'd like to preface this video by saying it is not a knitting tutorial, but it means to have something playing in the background while you work on your own knitting project. If you're like me and really enjoy having something on while you work, sometimes the content you like is very visually engaging and you're several hours in and haven't gotten nearly as far along in your project as you would have liked to. So that's where I come in. If you're new here, welcome, and if you're returning, welcome back. It is Sunday afternoon. I just finished filming a video that was going to be uploaded before this one, so if you're new here, I usually try, if I'm on my game, I try to knit a few videos in a row so that I can edit them in one go, can make a schedule to upload them, and hopefully stay consistent with that. But if you are a regular here, you kind of know by now that sometimes things happen, and even though I really have all the intention to stay consistent, life gets in the way, motivation happens to just dissipate, and then I'm in a rut until the next time I can upload. But one thing I can say is that I'm so proud of myself because even though I haven't been in front of the camera with you all regularly, behind the scenes I'm still knitting on those projects. So the previous video I did talk about how I finished a couple projects. Actually, I finished one project, but it was a two-parter. It was a hat and a cowl, and I will show you guys that later, but I put it in my pile of things that I've already worked on, and I'm thinking either later, well, later for sure, but I'm not sure if I want to do like a what I have so far, or if I want to do a showcase again like I did last year, where I showed you all the socks I worked on, what I did with them, you know, all of the details, my process, or if I want to do like a piecemeal one, and then maybe a big showcase at the end. Still deciding on what I want to do, but I would love to hear what you guys think I should do for that, and then that'll give me some ideas to think about as I continue to move forward. So today, just like I was doing with the last video, we are working on the ribbed cuff of the fingerless gloves for my cousin. I'm going to start with her gloves because I want to make sure she's going to be my guinea pig for these, because I'm going to be knitting another set for her son, but I want to make sure that I'm doing everything correctly. Now, I've knit some fingerless gloves before. It was the Mitt the Family pattern. We did a whole knit along with that last summer, I think. I think that was last summer, like the month of August is what we did. And that was a journey and a half for me. And I don't want to use that pattern again. So I decided to go with my Not Just Socks pattern book. And if you look at my Perusing Pattern Books playlist, say that 5 times fast, I do go through the patterns in this book, and as sexist as they are, I really do just want to go through some of my sock weight yarn, see some inspo in here, and go with that. So with that being said, let me change my battery because it's already almost dead, and we'll just get into it. Battery has been installed, so new battery, yay. Anyway, so yes, the fingerless gloves I will be knitting for my cousin first, see how it goes, then try again for her son. And right now we just need to make sure we have 3 inches from the beginning of the round to the end of the cuff before we can start doing the increases to make the bottom of the palm and work our way up and then do the fingers, all of that good stuff. So it's just a very easygoing part right now, which is perfect for filming because I don't have to think too hard. I just have to remember not to go too far up, otherwise then I have to make sure that I'm measuring exactly the right length when I do the second glove. But I think I might do just some gauntlets for my uncle. I'm trying to think of what to knit for him. I haven't made him a scarf yet. I have made him socks and I've made him a hat, but I might go with gloves for him as well, just to keep things kind of themed, kind of easy, at least for myself. Like, what can I manage to do quickly, but with the supplies that I already have? Because if you had watched my previous upload, I talked about how my 2021 goals, not New Year's resolutions, because that verbiage just always seems to set me up for failure. But one of my goals was to use what I have. And to do that, I have tons of sock yarn. And this Not Just Socks book kind of gives me an opportunity to think of some yarn busting ideas where I can turn them into nice little gifts. And I was looking through my other pattern books, and I don't have any other fingerless glove. Like, I have some patterns, but nothing quite like this. But at the same time, unfortunately, this book, even though it says knit for a man or a woman, they don't give me any other hand sizes to use for my patterns. So I mentioned in my last video that I am going to change the needle size but keep the same yarn weight, and hope that because of that added bit of stretch in the gauge that it'll fit my cousin's son, because he's a young guy. He's like 12, but you know, kids go through these growth spurts all the time. He already wears like an adult size shoe, and I'm sure his hands are really big, or will be in no time at all. So I'm like, well, I don't want him to not be able to wear these for a very long time after all the work I put into them. So I'll make them a little bit bigger. But yep, we're just doing a 2x2 rib in a circle. And it's so funny because you probably can't see because I'm kind of in shadow, which, I don't know. It's not that big of a deal to me because it's like, it's about the project. But my makeup today kind of is reminiscent of the pattern I'm working on, or the color I'm working with. So I thought it might be fun if every time I work on a project, I try to theme my makeup around the colors I'm working with. I usually just kind of grab whatever and put that on, but this time I felt a little bit more intentional, or at least try to. So I have like a shimmery kind of oil slick purpley gold eye, and my lipstick is kind of like pinky colored, and this yarn is this kind of ombre. I haven't showed you the cake yet. You can probably see it a little better in the light over here, but it's like this purple and red kind of color way here. And this yarn actually came from my former work friend. She's still a friend, but I no longer work with her because I got a different job in a different state. But she gifted me lots of yarn and some pattern books when I first started out my knitting journey. She's like, oh yes, Paws and Pearls, I have all sorts of stuff that I'm just like de-stashing. I don't use it anymore. Would you like it? I was like, heck yes. So she really hooked me up, and I've been using a lot of the yarn she gave me for various projects that I've had throughout the couple years that I have been an avid knitter. And speaking of, well, duh, knitting, I mean, that's the whole point of the channel, right? But speaking of work knitting, I found that there are at least 2, perhaps 3 fiber arts folks at my new job. One is like becoming like my new work buddy. She works remotely, but she did come in on site this past week. So the week following Memorial Day weekend, she was on site because she was working on a project, and she's like, oh yes, did you have your knitting with you? And I was like, well, I didn't bring it because we had made arrangements to meet up for lunch that day. So, if we're going to be eating, or finding a place to find some food, I didn't think we were going to be eating in the break room. So I was like, oh yeah, I didn't bring it today, but I do usually bring it. And she's like, oh, well, what are you working on? I was like, try to do stuff that's not very complicated, because eating and working or trying to remember a pattern or anything like that is usually kind of hard for me. So I try to bring easy stuff to work. She's like, oh yeah, I get it. But we both thought it would be really fun to try to start up a new knitting group. And I'm like, yes, I would love that. I tried to do that at my old job, and it kind of fizzled out. It was very short-lived, but I liked it. And there might be another person that knits, but she's kind of shy, maybe. Maybe she's not shy, she just keeps to herself, I should say. And I heard that she knits, but I haven't seen her with anything at work. But she does work in the department right next to me, so I'm pretty sure I could just be like, hey, I heard you might be a knitter. Do you want to start up a knitting club with me and the other person? And see what she says. Hopefully. Oh, and then there's another person who works remotely right now, but she does needlepoint. Because when my job put out the announcement saying that I was a new worker, she commented, because I mentioned my hobbies being knitting and stuff, and she's like, oh, I do needlepoint, but my cats want to be on my lap every time I have it out. And I'm like, yeah, mine do too. So funny, because Kabu just would not let up yesterday. Saturday, when I started working on this, almost every couple hours she would come by. She'd jump on me and get all tangled up in my yarn and want to be on my lap, and I'm just like, okay, figure out where you want to be so I can get my yarn around you. And then she'd get comfy for a little bit, and then she'd jump back down. So I was like, that girl, I tell ya. She's still, if you're not new here and you have been listening for a while, she is a nervous licker, I guess. She tends to overgroom, and my vet at my old place gave her some steroid shots to help with inflammation from the licking and getting scabies and stuff like that, and that really helped. And I think it might have helped her stop licking too, because I felt like sometimes her fur would grow back just a teeny tiny bit. But even though we've moved, she's still licking herself a lot, so we're always correcting her, and not in a bad way. We're just Kabu, distracting her, trying to get her to stop it. And sometimes it works, but of course I can't see her all day because I go to work and come back and she's just going to town on her tail or something. So the whole inside of her leg is just bald, and her end of her tail was doing really well for a while, but now she's chewed all that fur off, so now she just has this little sad looking paintbrush tail tip thing going on. And she's starting to lick the middle of her tail, so that has a bald patch. And I thought it was the dogs. I honestly thought, because we live next door to dogs, I thought because of their constant barking and her being in a shelter that was next to the dog kennel side, I thought maybe that just put her on edge, because those noises, never-ending noises, and cats being very sensitive to sound, and that constant sound would have made her really upset. And so I thought, oh yeah, well, now that we've moved, maybe she won't lick herself anymore because she's in a better environment. And she's still licking herself, and I have no idea what it could be. The vet, back when we lived in our townhouse, we were going through some scenarios, and I'm like, well, her diet hasn't changed. We haven't done anything different in our routine. It's just that we're in a different home. And she didn't even stay. We stayed in our townhouse longer than we've lived in any other apartment. And the fact that we lived in the smaller apartment before we moved to the townhouse, and she was fine, full tummy of fur and everything. So the fact that we've moved to the townhouse and had that environment, I thought that's what triggered it. So then when we moved again, and now we've been in our apartment here for about 2 months now, I thought it would dissipate, but she's still continuing to lick. Now maybe it's not even that, and the environment was the issue, and it's just because she's getting older and something's setting her off. And I just, now that we're like full on clean slate environment and everything, I just cannot wrap my head around what is making her feel so uncomfortable, because nothing really has changed in her routine or our routine. Like, you know, she gets her love and attention and pets, and you know, there isn't any like new person or new smell around that would cause her any problem. She's still very playful, still very active and everything. So it's like, what is triggering this? And because we can't speak to her, I can't ask her, you know, what is making you feel like you need to be constantly picking at yourself? So it's just so sad. But I have been keeping an eye on her, you know, and of course I brush her, because if she has less loose fur to eat, then she has fewer hairballs. So I pretty much, right before I vacuum every week, I have to like give her a really good brushing just to get any extra hair off of her, so she doesn't eat it all, because she can't digest that. So then it ends up coming up, and we have this very light carpet, which is horrible. And I really want to make sure I get all of my deposit back whenever we do move out. So that's what's going on over here. What is new and good with you all? I am just so happy to have this room kind of together now. I made some banana bread coffee cake 2 weekends ago. So Monday, the day of Memorial Day, I was off of work, so I did some baking, and that was nice. So I'm still kind of chipping away at that baking dish full of cake. My partner doesn't seem to want it. They had a piece when it first came out of the oven, and then I've just been eating it for breakfast, taking some of it to lunch for work, and pretty much doing that every day. And now I have like maybe 3 slices left at time of filming, so hopefully I might have some for dessert and then bring some more with, oh wait, no, I have a big meeting tomorrow, and it goes pretty much through breakfast. So I got a gift card for Starbucks, because my job I work at was like, well, since we usually would have this big meeting in person and there would be catered food, since we don't have any catering, since we still have people remote, social distancing, all that good stuff, we're just going to give everybody a gift card for the amount that it would have cost to feed you, and you can go figure out what you want. So they said, you know, you could do Amazon, which seems kind of weird, or you could do Panera, or you could do Starbucks. And there is not a Panera where I work nearby. I don't know what I would have bought to have for food from Amazon, so I chose the Starbucks one. So we got that Friday, uploaded my money onto my Starbucks account, so when I go in tomorrow on Monday morning, I can walk over to the Starbucks that's nearby and get myself something to eat for breakfast. Or if, because it's a lot of money, I could easily go back there for lunch and get something for lunch as well. But I might just buy it all in one go, have my breakfast and my lunch, so I don't have to go back outside, because the area I live in is very hot. I thought Midwest got pretty hot in the summer, and it's not even summer yet, but it's very, very, very warm here. and it's crazy how quickly the temperature changes as well. So if I can avoid going outside in the middle of the day, it's the best, because when I come in the morning, it's pretty warm. When I leave after work, it's still really warm, but it's not as bad. I feel like it cools off just a tad by the time I have to go home. So I will avoid midday heat as much as possible. But that's what's going on over here. I haven't gone out very much. And it's not because I don't want to. Like, I would love to go to the beach. I would love to go to some of the state parks, but getting everybody on board to like leave the house has been a little bit difficult for me. So I just kind of have to find my own adventure, I guess, somewhere around here. There are lots of things to do. Being on the East Coast, one of the benefits is that all the states are smaller, so you can actually get up and down the coast pretty quickly, considering that when I lived in the Midwest, those states are massive. Like, you could spend several hours in one state just going one side to the other. So, getting to other states for the heck of it was no easy task. And I appreciate being closer to some of the big areas, so I can go visit fun national parks and cool museums, and just do some more sightseeing that I probably never would have done had I continued to live in the Midwest just on my own free will. So I'm really looking forward to getting out and about. And our good friend who lives in California, he is still very much interested in seeing us. We haven't seen him since maybe November, maybe December. It's been a long time. It was very cold Midwest winter time when he came out to see us. And it was just briefly because I had to work that day, came home, he was already at the apartment or at our townhouse, and we just got to socialize a little teeny bit before we, grabbed some dinner and came back. But he does want to come out and see us at our new place, and I would love to have him come. I have asked if he's been vaccinated, and he hasn't quite given me a direct answer. He was a bit skeptical about getting vaccinated. I can say I have been fully vaccinated now, and I surprisingly had zero reaction to the vaccine. I got the Pfizer, and I, got my first dose, felt fine. Got my second dose, nothing. And it was so weird because I was expecting to have something, even maybe a sore arm, maybe just feel a little tired, but I was fine. The needle didn't even hurt. I didn't feel any pain. It was just if the flu shot needle felt like this, that would be great. I get my flu shot every year too, so, that one actually hurt more than the Pfizer vaccine. So I thought it was just the strangest thing. So I'm in a year, did they change the needle of how they're vaccinating people? But my job is very concerned about virus spreading, so we have to use this app and tell it every day if we feel okay, or if we've been exposed to anybody who has the virus, and once a week we get tested to make sure we don't have it, even if we've been vaccinated. But soon that will change. They're saying that maybe next month they will eliminate the need for regular testing if you have been vaccinated and can prove that you have. So I have my card. I keep my card in my wallet and everything. So in case anybody wants to ask me, or needs proof or anything, then I just have it with me, just like my ID. It's with me all the time, so I can show it, and I just hope that it means that at least some of the things that I do regularly will kind of ease a little bit. I'm still wearing my mask. Like, where I live, there's like kind of going with the CDC rule that you don't need to have your mask if you have been vaccinated, but I know there are a lot of people who probably are not wearing their mask even if they have not been vaccinated, and a lot of inside places still require you to have your mask on regardless of if you have your vaccine or not. So I just wear it. I'm just like, until it's like super safe, I'll just keep wearing it. I don't mind. The only sad, it's so like oh, I wouldn't even say materialistic, because that's not the word, but superficial, I guess, or petty, not even petty, but like, yeah, very individualistic, I guess, is like, I love wearing lipstick. Lipstick used to be like my staple makeup when I would go to work. Like, before I worked at my job, now my new job, lipstick was my thing. Lip gloss, a lipstick. One of the two, I wore that every single day to work. Had some at my job, would reapply later after lunch, whatever. And then once I started having to wear masks to work, it became eye makeup, just eyes. Because obviously I can't do like blush and highlighter or foundation because my mask is on, it's gonna rub off, or you don't even see that part of my face. So I didn't even bother with like my base. And at my old job, when I had to walk to work, it got so hot that I just wouldn't even wear my foundation because I would sweat it off by the time I got to work. So I would only just focus on my lips, like my lipstick. And then when I had to wear a mask, then lipstick went away. Still have all my lipstick, but couldn't wear it because then it'd rub off in my mask and smear around, and then I'd look like I murdered a clown and ate him on my face. So I put that away, just focused on my eye makeup now. But with my eye makeup, I still really miss having lipstick. And so, the one, like, silly perk, the very, like, superficial perk for me to not have to wear a mask anymore would be that I can actually put lipstick on again and have, like, my full ensemble coordinating like I used to, where I would have my lipstick, and then I could do my eyes if I want, just slap a little something on my face, a little bit of like a light concealer, because I usually wouldn't do a full face of foundation because of like bumping on stuff. So I would do like a little concealer. I definitely do my brows, mascara, eyeliner, something like that, just to get out of the door. But lipstick was always just like, what am I wearing today? What lipstick's going to go with this outfit? And that was my thing. So getting back to that like bit of normalcy in my life is something I really look forward to. I don't even care about like going into the crowded places. Like, I can still be cooped up in the house. Cooped. There you go. Cooped up. I can be cooped up in the house, do my little outing, do my little errand run, go to, the mall, grab whatever I need, come back home, and still social distance. But I'm not a partier. I like to eat at restaurants, but it's mostly because I prefer to have the food fresh, but I just like picking up my food to go as well, because then I don't have to deal with loud people, crying babies, wait times, being seated, not getting my food when I'm hungry, because then you just order ahead of time and it's going to be 20 minutes or whatever, and you get there, get your food, go. So, all of that part of it. Wait staff having to tip because people don't get paid. a living wage, to work as a server, all of that stuff. But then like having a bad server, so then it's like you don't want to tip, but that's how they make their living. And dealing with all of that formality of dining at a restaurant versus just ordering to go. Like, I can avoid all of that, still pick up my food to go, totally fine with that. But as far as like the normalcy of going to work, being at work, seeing people at work, especially because my job is I'm required to be there in person. I don't have the luxury of just being home all day every day anymore like I used to before I went back in person. So getting to see people who I've never even met, since there are so many people still working remotely at my new job that I don't know when I'll see them in person because of how the situation will go later on when things open up a little more. So that's kind of where I am right now. But in the meantime, I do want to say that I appreciate all of you for sticking with me today, coming to see what's going on over here at the Paws and Pearls channel. We are still just knitting around, nothing too exciting, nothing too crazy, but we're getting closer to our 3 inches. So at some point we will be working on the hand, and I think I'll get to that part off camera and then give you an update next week on where we are. So you'll just get 2 uploads this week. I don't want to go too crazy with the uploading again. Don't know when the next time you'll see me will be. Hopefully it'll be next week, but as we know on this channel, sometimes that doesn't happen. But I'm going to really try this time to get back into some kind of schedule. So in the meantime, thank you so much for stopping by, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye!